The Cowboys have a secret weapon that can win them a football game at any time. The only problem is that they have to stay in the football game in order for this guy to work his magic. So we'll break that down and much more on this episode of Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, everybody, to Cowboys Digest. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, and today we're going to be breaking down the secret weapon that is not so much of a secret for the Dallas Cowboys. That is their kicker, Brandon Aubrey, who through the first 3 weeks of the season has been the biggest bright spot for the Dallas Cowboys. So we're going to break down his wonderful performance and just break down as to why he is the secret weapon of the Dallas Cowboys. But before we get into the video, I want to let you know that around 85% of you watching these are not subscribed. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out a ton. It allows me to make this daily Cowboys content for you, something that I love to do. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button. Helps me out a ton. And you won't want to miss the daily Cowboys content coming up because they got a huge game tomorrow against the NFC East division rivals in the New York Giants. So should be a fun one at MetLife Stadium. Don't know what that one's going to turn out to be like, but hey, you got to get a win. You're 1-2 right now. You got to get back to 2-2. But let's get straight into the video here. Let's take a look at Brandon Aubrey, who is first in all of the major categories among kickers in field goals made, field goal percentage. He hasn't missed one, and he's hit the longest field goal as well, which was a 65-yarder. I mean, this guy is just insane. It's beyond words how good he is. He's the best kicker in the National Football League. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to say that. Come at me if you want, if you're a Ravens fan, but Justin Tucker has been struggling this year. I mean, no one really comes close to what Brandon Aubrey has been doing, and the reason why he's the secret weapon for the Dallas Cowboys is he is such a weapon at the end of halves, at the end of games. Like, this guy can just nail a 70-yarder, no problem, with room to spare, and he will help you win football games that way. The only issue with the Dallas Cowboys is that they are hitting field goals and they're giving up touchdowns on the other end, on the defensive side of the ball. So you got to try to figure out your defense here in order to give Brandon Aubrey a chance to maybe steal a couple of points for you. Like, if we flash back to that Ravens game, he hit a 65-yarder right before halftime, which kind of got them back, not back into the game, but it gave them a little bit of life. And it allowed them to feel like, okay, maybe if we can do this a couple more times, we'll be back in the contest and give ourselves a shot if we can play some defense. They ultimately didn't play any defense, which is why I'm going to pull up this other screenshot right here. This is Brandon Aubrey right now. He is a very nice car outside of a broken, worn-down house. Like, the Cowboys are the worn-down house, and Brandon Aubrey is the luxury sports vehicle just parked right outside of it, if you didn't get the analogy right there. So that's where the Cowboys are at right now. Brandon Aubrey is the best kicker in the National Football League, and he's been one of the more valuable players in the National Football League through 3 games of the NFL season. Now, he's been great, but there's only so much a kicker can do. He even helped them recover an onside kick, which Pat McAfee says here. Of course, Brandon Aubrey, it's the first successful onside kick. Just so much sauce on the kick. Worked perfectly. The guy is unbelievable. And if anyone can appreciate a great special teams performance, it is this guy right here, Pat McAfee. So him being the special secret weapon, whatever you want to call him for the Dallas Cowboys, it allows you to win close ball games, because maybe hitting a 65-yarder when your opponent is unable to kick from that range and they have to punt, that could swing the pendulum in your favor. But the Cowboys have to get there. As I said, Brandon Aubrey has out of nowhere become the league's best kicker. Casually drills a 65-yarder. Like, the guy's legit. He does it all for the Dallas Cowboys. And again, like I mentioned, there's only so much a kicker can do. Like, this is the last video that no disrespect to Brandon Aubrey, but I did not want to have to make a video on a kicker this early in the season as the lone bright spot of the Dallas Cowboys. But this is where we are. I'm trying to find the silver linings as we head into Week 4 tomorrow against the New York Giants. and it's been hard. So that's why I want to highlight the team's best player through 3 games, and that has been Aubrey, because this guy is just doing it all. He's doing whatever he can as a kicker. He's not gonna tackle guys for you. He's not gonna offer some muscle on your defensive line, and he's not going to be a stout defensive presence either in the secondary. He is going to do what he's paid to do, and that's kick the ball through the uprights. But what he does do, he does it better than anybody in the league, and the Cowboys cannot complain about the production that they've received from Brandon Aubrey 3 games in it. And if we take a look fantasy-wise, he would be the number 4 wide receiver, the number 1 tight end, the number 6 running back, and the number 16 quarterback, if we're taking a look at just fantasy football purposes. So that's a pretty cool stat right there. Shout out to Brandon Aubrey, man. This guy has just been amazing ever since coming into the league last year. He was gonna take a 9-to-5 job before he decided to give football one last shot here. He was drafted in the MLS by Toronto FC. It's a pretty crazy story for how he got here. So maybe if you got a good leg, go out there, start practicing your field goals, because we see week in, week out, some guys just can't cut it at that position in the National Football League, and maybe there's hope. Maybe there's hope for some of you out there. But in all seriousness, this guy is very important to what the Cowboys are looking to do. Obviously, you don't want to settle for field goals, but let's say you're struggling and you want to get some points on the board. It's pretty much a guarantee that Brandon Aubrey is going to help you do that. And the Cowboys couldn't get the ball into the end zone before the 4th quarter rolled around the other day against the Baltimore Ravens, and he nails a 65-yarder. He allows you to put some points on the board, and it just gives you that extra bit of confidence. Now, it's not a secret weapon per se, but it sort of is, because you're not game planning for a kicker, but then you remember you stop the Cowboys at the 50-yard line and you're like, oh crap, they got Brandon Aubrey. He's going to nail this 70-yarder casually and take us into the half. That's where you're at if you're trying to game plan for the Dallas Cowboys. You don't have it off the top of your head. You're very happy that you get a stop and you keep that Cowboys offense off the field, but he can put up points where other kickers are just not able to do so. So it's been a very impressive start to his season. The only bright spot, I would say, for the Dallas Cowboys through 3 games, maybe you could put Dak Prescott in there. He's been all right, but for a $60 million man, he's not really meeting expectations. None of the games have been his fault, don't get me wrong. The defense has been putrid, but again, Brandon Aubrey has been the Cowboys' best player 3 games in, and I wanted to highlight his success and his importance to the team, because I feel like not a lot of people are doing so. So shout out to you guys for making it this far. Again, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and shout out to Brandon Aubrey as well for a great start to his NFL career, dating all the way back to last season. That'll wrap it up for this episode of Cowboys Digest, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Go Cowboys. Go beat those damn Giants.